Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Connect Church Discipleship Podcast. We're in Season 4, Episode 15. This is our Capstone episode for this season. We're going to recap our last season and then talk with our guests about discipleship and their own lives. We're back again. We have Poed, we have Jeremy. Thank you, guys. This is our 4th episode today. We actually thought we lost one and almost had to redo it, but it did. It was good, so that's awesome. But gentlemen, this season, we've taken more of kind of like a cerebral approach, topics like, how do we know the resurrection is true, the problem of evil, healing, how do I know God exists, is Jesus the only way, and then our last series on culture. So it's kind of more brain space type of stuff, and sometimes the fancy word we use is apologetics, right? And so do you guys think it's necessary for each disciple to have at least a basic understanding of apologetics, or is this type of stuff just for those that like to kind of, geek out on this kind of stuff and dig into it?
I think it's good for followers, disciples of Jesus to have a basic understanding, because a lot of those type of questions are the type of questions that people who are seeking or questioning or looking to understand who God is are the type of questions that they tend to ask themselves, right? And I think it also helps us as disciples of followers of Jesus to be more firm and more rooted in our understanding of who Jesus is, our own faith. So yeah, it's to help us to deepen in our relationship, our understanding of our faith, but also it allows us to be a better witness to people who are seeking and looking to understand about who Jesus is.
Absolutely. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with Jeremy. I think you covered you covered it pretty well.
Too, I think it's good to we have doubts ourselves sometimes, right? And it's good to wrestle with that. That's good. So that being said, when you guys engage with people who don't know the Lord, or maybe are new to the Lord, do you find that they are often asking these types of questions, or is it more like they're wrestling through their own experiences? What do you tend to see come up maybe more frequently?
That's hard. I would say I've seen both, right? So more on the apologetics that I've seen with people who are more in terms of how they think, right? They're a lot more logical thinking, right? A lot of things that we see in the Bible do not make logical sense, right? But to have a basic understanding of the apologetics sort of topics gives them a frame of reference to understand, you know, who Jesus is,
Yeah.
what he did, and why he did it, right? While for people who are more feelings and experience based, for people like myself, it's a lot more about, okay, what are the experiences? What are the testimonies of what Jesus has done? I think that helps to give a better frame of reference of what it looks like to follow Jesus than the apologetics.
Okay. Boy, what about you? What has been your experience?
Um, I've met a couple people who uh, used to be in the church, but through personal experiences have decided to leave the church and leave the faith. So I feel like in that case, like personal experiences played a big part in why they left the faith.
Okay.
Although I've also seen people where they just decide it's not logical, but then I feel like I don't want to say maybe like a little easier um to get them back in the faith. So I think like it's never like purely logical. Like leaving the faith is never a purely like, oh, this doesn't make sense at all. It's or usually it doesn't make sense, but also this thing happened to me in the church, so I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, some hurt happened or something of that nature. Sure. So with that being said, right, we kind of see both things. So there's a need for us to be able to know both of those worlds, right? What would you say to somebody like, hey, I'm having these types of conversations? What kind of posture would you encourage them to take as they're having conversations about these types of things, apologetics types of conversations with other people?
I would say important thing is listening, taking a listening first sort of approach rather than being very quick to respond and defend. I think as disciples, as followers of Jesus, so quick for us to want to provide a response right then and there. This is the answer, right? We don't know the answer, right? I think a lot of what we talked about before, right? We don't understand God's will. Right? We don't understand the full mystery and wonder of who Jesus is, and for us to give a sort of one like a response right then and there can seem kind of silly, right? But it's like, you know, listen to what they have to say, be be led by the Holy Spirit in terms of how to respond, and then if you're not sure, then being open enough to say, "That's a great question. I will love to come back to you.
Sure.
Let me come back and provide a response." So I think it's yeah, it's important. I think to listen to what they have to say and then just walk alongside them as they have questions. Not be
good.
afraid to receive the questions and get back to them.
That's solid advice. But anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely a posture of humility, not like I have all the answers
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
like I know more than you
Yeah.
because sometimes they might have a perspective that's different from yours, and then you always have to like come at it probably from their angle, like try to get them to agree with you. Well, and it's also not like a debate,
Yeah.
like not trying to get them to agree with you, but like
Support.
yeah, trying to build a relationship and through that relationship show them Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So let's switch gears, right? That was a little bit about this last season. We mentioned in some previous episodes, you guys are guys that are actually coming through the pipeline, right? And you've spent some time working through the material that's been there with someone else in our church disciple you. So just want a couple questions about that. How have you seen God grow you in this season of walking through some of these things?
I think it's helped having somebody, especially that is older, who have walked and experienced a lot of the things before me,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the questions, a lot of the experiences, things that I have, when I present it or ask them, they've gone through it before, so they can provide some color, some perspective into it that I don't have at this stage or this season of my life. And through that, I've been able to, in turns, like I have a deeper understanding of my faith and what it looks like to pursue and have a intimate, deep relationship with Jesus. Um, so yeah, I would say that that's kind of how my experience has been. It's been very helpful.
Right.
I think for me, it's definitely helped me to connect more with the community here. Um, just having that mentor and like I feel like oftentimes, at least maybe just for me, like it's easier for me to hang out with people my age. Um, but like my mentor is because he's older than me, and like because of Pipeline, I'm like I talk to him a bunch, and so it's been really nice to fellowship with people his age.
Sure. There's a significant, for those watching, there's a significant age gap between each of you guys and the person that's walking through. And we did that somewhat intentionally, right? Because we want to see the generations kind of come together. And for what you guys said, I think if I had both of those guys here right now, and for what they've told me in their own private conversations, which I think I'm allowed to say here, I think they've learned as much from you guys as you have from them, right? Like there's been value that you've brought a perspective that they're like, oh, that's very interesting to kind of see your guys' angle. So, was there any was there any fear for you guys jumping into this, or this was just like, let's check it out kind of thing?
For me, because I had discipleship in college ministry before, I would definitely say it wasn't new, but I think what was different was again having somebody that was considerably older.
Yeah.
Because the person who was discipling me was a little closer in my age when I was doing college ministry. But yeah, just a different perspective, different viewpoint was definitely helpful. So there wasn't much fear. It was more excitement and
Awesome.
anticipation.
Boy, what about you? Was there any fear jumping into it, or
I wouldn't say there was too much fear other than like just that I wouldn't be able to relate to someone significantly older than me.
sure?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't too like too bad, and it was like very quickly dispelled.
Yeah.
He's a very nice man.
Yeah, you guys were able to build that relationship.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So, one last question about your process here. Like, one of the things that and you guys are familiar with this terminology, right? The gospel coaching, right? We just want people to be able to see how the gospel applies to their life. So, and in what ways have maybe you seen that play out in your life over the last months of walking through this? How has the gospel maybe taken a greater role in your life, or maybe changed even how you viewed some things? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think having those gospel coaching sessions has helped me to be able to approach talking about my faith more at my workplace. I found myself having a lot more boldness and being able to approach it in a healthy way. And a lot of people have come to me with questions about my faith and what it looks like to follow Jesus. So I think having that gospel coaching has helped me a lot in this season to be able to have the boldness to do that.
Awesome. Well, what about for you?
Um, I wouldn't say I've necessarily had more conversations, just more, I guess, like feeling more comfortable, like with the possibility of having those
Sure.
conversations.
Good.
Um, I guess just the opportunities haven't really come up.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'd love to hear how God's working in you guys' lives, and thank you for being willing to go through the process and for being here these last few episodes. We have one more get to know you question, and so we'll see what you say to this. We did ask this one to Frank previously. We gave him off for this episode, but if you were a ruler of your own country, what would be the most random law that you're putting into place? This is a tough one.
A mandatory day of rest.
A mandatory Sabbath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody in the land must take a day to rest.
Okay. Is it on the same day? Is it like the whole land is shutting down on whatever day of the week?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. What if I need eggs or milk that they can't get it? ShopRite's closed.
Yeah, Shelburne's
All right.
closed.
Sounds good.
Actually, can I change mine? Sorry.
Sure.
I'm gonna change mine. 4-hour workdays.
Ooh, okay.
Because I find that I'm the most productive at work for 4 hours.
There is some research behind that.
And the other 4 hours, I'm not as productive. So, 4-hour workdays, and then the rest of the time, it's
We won't be sending this to your employer, so don't worry.
4-hour workdays.
All right, Payette, he just stole a good one. Did anything pop in mind for you?
I don't know if this will end up on the podcast.
No, it has to.
Bring back the death penalty,
Oh,
Oh, okay. Wow.
but like it has to be like, I don't know, multiple trials, and like it has to be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, like multiple times. And like a death penalty is a really good deterrent for some crimes, for crimes that are like really serious. And I just feel like it would save the government.
So you're thinking about the bottom line in Poet's country. Jeremy wants everybody to take off and nobody to work. We have two very different images of a nation emerging here. I love it though. No, this is good. Guys, thank you so much for being with us again today. And for our audience, this is a good time now. Go ahead and process our last culture series. Go ahead and meet with your discipler, and you'll have opportunity to talk through some questions, gospel coach, and abide together. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in season 5.